Okay, so quite a long time ago I had a very significant dream about Sri Mataji. It was quite short, but I dreamt that she came to me and she kissed me here on my agya, and she said, "Now you're full of the Holy Spirit."
Wow.
And I felt myself, I was in bed, I was asleep, so this is in a dream, and I dreamt that I could feel vibrations completely filling my body from the bottom upwards right to the top of my head. And I was lying there in my dream in total bliss, but not only bliss in my mind, but in bliss in every part of my body.
Wow.
And the closest thing I can describe it to is like having your body full of lemonade, but it wasn't like that. And I remember I was just lying there thinking, I don't want this to end, and I opened my eyes. So I woke up and I was still in this blissful state with this energy coursing through me, and then it stopped, and that was that dream.
Wow.
So that was quite a little thing that was very interesting that happened afterwards. I went to the collective, which was Birmingham at the time, and I was going to tell everybody. I thought, oh gosh, I'm going to tell everybody about this. And Bill was there, and Bill said, "Guess what happened? I had this amazing dream on Thursday." He said, "Mother came and kissed me on the agya." So I said, "Oh yeah, I had that one as well." And it was the same night. We had the dream on the same night. So that was that one. That was really quite an amazing dream. And another nice dream I had about Mother was when she was in my kitchen, and I was going along behind her. She was cleaning my kitchen.
Your hands.
And we'd got to the cooker, and she was cleaning like this, really busy herself. I looked, because I was just coming along behind her, cleaning behind her, but she was doing a really good job of everything. I noticed I was looking at the cooker, and she'd left the dirt in the corners. And I kind of didn't say anything, but I looked at them, and she looked at me and she said, "You've got to do those bits." Like, really kind of matter of fact, "You've got to do those bits." And I knew immediately the significance and the symbolism of that she shows us, and shows us exactly how to clean ourselves and tells us what to do, but we have to do the work to get the dirt out of the corners. So that was that one. Yes, and I kind of knew the symbolism of that straight away. And another one I had, which was only a couple of years ago, was I've been doing a few clearing techniques, and I wasn't expecting a dream or anything, and I just had this quite significant dream where I dreamt that I was small and Sri Mataji was next to me, and you may or may
small
not know.
In stature or young?
In stature.
Right.
In stature. I don't know if I was a child or not, but Sri Mataji was bigger than me, and obviously in real life Mother Sri Mataji was quite small. She was shorter than I was, but anyway, she was quite a bit bigger than me. She had her arm round me, and I felt the most unbelievable sense of love and security. It's hard to describe, and I can't even imagine it now, but it was completely overwhelming, and I felt completely that I was where I should be. There were no worries, no nothing. It also made me realise how normally we've got so many things crowding in on us that we are not even aware of. So I had this blissful feeling of being completely loved, totally loved. And then, obviously you don't want to go, but Sri Mataji went into a house, and I was outside the house, and I got into a car. I got into the car with my husband, John, and we started driving off, and we just started moving, and I said, no, stop, I've got to go back. So we stopped, and I got out of the car and ran back to the house, and Sri Mataji came out of the house, and she was really cross with me, really angry, and she said, "Why did you leave me? Why did you leave me?" And I was crying my eyes out in this dream. I was absolutely, totally in bits, because obviously I didn't want her to be cross with me, and I wanted to be back where I was before. And I just cried and cried, and I said, I'm sorry. And she was still cross with me. She was really angry. "Why did you leave me? Why did you leave me?" And then I looked up at her and I said, "Please forgive me." And as soon as I said those words, it was completely forgiven. Everything was forgiven. Everything was forgiven. And then I sat at her feet and I said, "Sri Mataji, may I kiss your feet?" And she said yes. So I bent down to kiss her feet, and as I went to kiss her feet, I looked at her foot, and I could see etched in her foot the shape of Sri Ganesha. So I just looked up at her like this and I said, Shri Mataji, what did your parents think of you when you were a baby? I asked, I don't know. What did your parents think? and she looked down and she said, my father knew who I was. And that was the end of the dream.
Wow, amazing. Beautiful.
So, yeah, those are my 3 dreams.
Can I just ask you one other thing? Something I wanted to ask people was if there was a particular technique that they found has been really, really helpful. Something perhaps over the years that they've gone back to many times that have just helped them in their development, or just to recommend a piece of music that they've always found really helpful or moving, or
I wouldn't
can
say
you think
music.
of anything for either of those things now?
Not any music in any particular piece of music, no. I suppose we tend to do what works for us, don't we? So what I usually do when I meditate is I always sit down, raise Kundalini and Bandha, and I always say Ganesha mantra, always, and very often say Ganesha Avashesha.
Interesting that you saw Ganesha as well in Mother's Foot.
Yes, yes. And then, I suppose probably because listening to people in the early years, things that they said, and I remember somebody saying, oh yes, nowadays you only need to work on the Muladhara and the Agya. So I usually then just say the Lord's Prayer or Jesus Mary mantra, and then the mantra for the Sahasrara, and then sit in meditation. And that seems to work. And then if there's anything that really I can feel on my fingers or in the chakras, then I'll work on that. But otherwise I just sit in meditation. And sometimes, actually, there is something that I have found really works, and I usually tell people if I'm working on them as well, is that if you can't stop thinking, just put your hand on your liver. And I know it sounds really simple, but we forget the very, very simple things, don't we? So to just put your left hand on the right side of the stomach, just kind of just melts the thoughts away, and then you can meditate. Because sometimes you can sit there for 10 minutes, quarter of an hour, and 20 minutes, and nothing's happening. You're just thinking. But I find that if you just do that, the thoughts will subside, and then you can meditate. So maybe that's something.
Okay, that's great. Thanks, Francis.